Hi and welcome to my astrological reading and also card reading for COVID-19, and a big disclaimer: this is not an attempt to say that I know or that this is the way it is and this is what really happens, because to me spirituality is about stillness and is about allowing grace to come in and to act in grace. So it is not so much about knowing, because in the end we know nothing. We are a grain of salt on a planet, and this planet is a grain of salt in the universe, and this universe is a grain of salt in multiple universes. So we don't know. And to all of those that think that COVID is a hoax or anything like that, I don't want to discuss this here. I just want to mention that Galileo Galilei, during his discovery that the earth is round, was forced to take this discovery back for a period of time because the church refused to believe or refused to put public that the earth is actually round, because they still wanted to force on people that the earth is a flat disc. But the discovery of Galileo Galilei also said we are actually circling around the sun, so we are not the center of the universe or the center of our galaxy, but that the sun is the center of our galaxy. So this was blasphemic for the church. And why I mention that is because sometimes faith can be really blindfolded, and to me, I also don't like when people are too materialistic and don't or forget that science is always reductive, and that science cannot prove whether there is a tree diva in a tree, for example. Science cannot say there is or there isn't. And I don't like when people are too materialistic and make fun of those that say that there are. And there is a Zen Buddhistic saying that says, just because you can cut a leaf into pieces and analyze it, you will never know what the mystery is when the tree is moving in the wind. And I feel like the mystery of life cannot be explained by science, and as we know, every new question that is answered will bring us to new questions, because, as I said, we are a grain of salt and we don't know anything. I don't like the blindness on both sides, let's put it that way. So this is the disclaimer. This is just my personal attempt to try to understand what it might be, not what it is, but what it could be, what it might be. And maybe there is some information in this video that is helpful for you. I hope it is. Yeah. I really thought about what kind of chart I would choose for this discovery of COVID, and we could use many, like for example when the World Health Organization first announced that there is something like COVID-19, or they named it, or when they announced in March that it's a global pandemic, or when China, the officials of China first said there might be something going on in Wuhan. But I would choose the first of kind of official, kind of not official announcement, and that was by Li Wenliang, and he was the doctor of Wuhan, who announced that there might be a possible pandemic and there is a very unknown illness that is going on in Wuhan, and that was on December 30th. And this chart is very interesting because I don't have any exact time when he announced that to his colleagues. So I used the natural zodiac that begins with Aries. And what is interesting is that the announcement might have happened just when Mercury moved into Capricorn. And right when he moved into Capricorn, Mercury squared Chiron and also was in conjunction to Pholus. And Pholus is an asteroid and is a centaur in mythology. And Pholus was a centaur like Chiron. He was very sophisticated like Chiron, and usually centaurs are not sophisticated, they're very wild. He died very surprisingly to him and to others, by a poisoned arrow. And so Pholos is about things that are very happening very fast. In my card deck, it is the card Speed, because things that happen out of the blue and very fast and very quickly, and where you are like shocked, well, what's going on? I didn't realize. And it's interesting that, because Pholos is for quite some time in Capricorn now, and it is interesting that when Mercury, the messenger that Wenliang was, when Mercury right conjuncted Pholos, and then it was announced, and also right when Mercury squared Chiron in Aries. When Mercury crossed into Capricorn, it conjuncted with Pholos and also with Jupiter and the Sun, and also the whole shebang of Ceres, Saturn, Pluto. So it was really in this field of something that is supposed to end, something that, and also the south node of the moon that was at that time in I think at 8 degrees, yeah, at 8 degrees of Capricorn. So it is this time at the beginning or at the end of 2019 and especially the beginning of 2020 was a time of ending. It was a time that karmically, where a certain time came to a closure and there was nothing we could do to prevent it, and that it is setting an end to an old way of behaving, our so-called invincible human structures and our ways of living. And the trine to Uranus and Taurus could be a heightened awareness that we are mortal creatures. Like the asteroid Pholos may be civilized, certainly animalistic. With the South Node and Ceres and Sun and Jupiter, the emphasis is on dying and deteriorating aspect of our human existence. No structure is stable enough against the flow of life and its constant changes. We are fragile and mortal beings, subdued to this cycle as every other living being on this planet. So I feel like we humans sometimes have the hubris, but in the end we have to realize that we are just part of nature like every other living being. Juno and Chiron as skipped steps to the nodal axis. This is something that I really wanted to mention as well. And this is the destined integration process of humanity, which came along with this virus. And the asteroid Juno is about that we as humanity cannot heal unless we work together. We find compromises and support each other. And the square from Chiron to the nodal axis is about the integration of that most of us have done nothing to deserve all of this. Nevertheless, it is there and takes effort, time, and personal sacrifice to experience change. It is a humbling experience, is an opportunity for more compassion. And for me, Chiron is connected to Pisces, so it is really about compassion and about surrendering to the divine. Maybe also COVID at itself has been like a messenger that said, it is over, we have to change something. Something will never be the same. And because it is in Capricorn, it is not an air sign, it is earth, it is concrete, it is our reality. It is not just in the thoughts or like water in our emotions, it is real. It is something in our structures, the way we structure our whole life, our whole society is changing and is coming to a closure. And I mean, I did a shamanic meditation during that time, and I afterwards I've drawn this picture because I wanted to, of course, like everyone else, I wanted to understand what is going on and why this happened. And to me, this angry spirit underneath it was like a Kali energy, and she seemed to be very angry. She was a very earthly energy, and it was a very, it is enough energy. And the Maria energy to me was also about grace, and grace that comes in through prayer. So during the time when the first lockdown happened in March, I prayed for 6 weeks. I prayed daily for the earth, and I felt like that many people were praying, and that it was a necessary change of healing. That is what I saw. That doesn't mean that it is the truth. It is just what I saw, and this is just what I see in the horoscope, that it is that Wenliang was a messenger, but that also in a way COVID was like a messenger to say it is enough. And it is also interesting to see that I also pulled the chart for the announcement of the Pfizer vaccine, and it is interesting that it right when it announced, the moon went into Virgo, and it formed an earth trine. So this is, an earth trine is very positive for materializing things, and Virgo is the sign of healing, of bringing healing, and I feel like this vaccine might bring the healing that is needed. And I also pulled some cards, and to me it seemed like that the background of why this happened. I mean, we know that many virologists many virologists say that it is very likely that we as humans step too much into the natural order. From my cards, I would say that this is very likely because it is about a vision quest, and with Mars it is about something where it is a little bit forced. Isn't there something? And it is also, it might also be a little bit childish. So this kind of, what I need to know, and that's why I'm doing what I'm doing. And it is connected also to Osiris. So it might have been that someone even did something to try to find a cure for something. So I don't see anything that goes into the direction of something intentionally bad, someone that wanted to destroy, for example, the economy of the whole world. I don't see that. That doesn't mean that it's not true, but I don't see that. I would say I see an unintentional accident that was, yeah, maybe because someone wanted to find something that they didn't find that way, and it was actually the other way around. They put something into the world. And as a theme, to me, what also shows that it might be really something karmic, and my cards would also say that it is something like my vision that comes from the earth, that has to do with Pachamama, and that has to do with Kuan Yin, this kind of compassion for the natural world. And Sappho was, in old Greece, she was an artist and living a very unusual life, and she was someone that was a very free spirit. So we have to find new solutions. We have to allow ourselves to say, okay, our new life has to be different, because COVID brought a huge transformation, and Samhain is a time where things need to end. There is often death involved, a form of loss involved, or at least some form of transformation. As we know, there is a lot of deaths that happened. Something definitely had to die, and that is what also the chart says. The chart definitely says something needed to die. It could have been something else, but it was clear that this period would bring a halt and a closure to the way we lived. And if we think we can go back to normal after the vaccine, then I would say, from my perspective, or what I see, this won't be the case, because the natural world, because the earth says it is enough, we have to change. And for some this might be a stupid, esoteric, a nonsense or fairy tale, but this is at least what I see. And what it will be in the near future is that we need to be patient before it will be resolved, and we have to, there will be more communicated. I feel like there will be more coming out about this virus, about maybe also the origin of the virus. There are many forces who are trying to find out why this happened and what it means. And I feel like this whole crisis, this huge worldwide crisis is a chance to come back to what is essential to us, what is sacred to us, and that maybe nature and the natural world should be part of the sacredness, and that we should treat this natural world as sacred as it is. Why I'm saying this with the natural world? Because the earth is so pronounced in this chart, and to me it is a cry of the earth to do something differently. And when we always talk about that the earth might not survive and that the earth is dying because of us, the earth will survive. It is about us, that if we continue like that, we won't survive. To me, it seems like the natural world gave a last warning to us, and we can use that time or not. And we had to deal with a lot of losses, and maybe to all the people that died, maybe we should try our best to make it not in vain, and to say, okay, we have to change the way we live. We have to include nature into our sacredness. There is a series on Amazon Prime that is called American Gods, and it is about the fight between the new gods and the old ancient gods. And the new gods are just about appearance and about our how do I look like and how does it look like. And I feel like because all this stellium happened in Capricorn, and Capricorn is about what are your true values, and what do I bring to on the top of the mountain with me. I cannot bring everything, so I have to decide. What is my true value, and what I'm going for with it. What is my true determination? What do I feel truly connected to and determined to live? And I think this is really a time to come back to, as I said, realize that we might be spiritual beings temporarily in a body, but we should really honor this body and the sacredness of this temple, and the sacredness also of the temple of the earth. So that were my thoughts. I hope that were a little bit helpful. As I said, of course I don't have the answer to why that happened. I would say it is a reflection on what it might have been, and I hope you found it helpful. Thank you very much for listening, and bye.